One of Olympia's favorite things to do was to camp out in the garden. She had a little tent that was the perfect size for herself and even had enough room for her little brother Hosea. Olympia had spent the afternoon getting the inside of the tent just right. She'd carefully selected what cuddly toys would be spending the night with her, as well as making several trips to her bathroom for cushions, coloring books, storybooks, and various essential toys. She also collected an armful of clothes, just in case. Hosea was very excited about being allowed to sleep outside too. He'd played with Olympia in the tent many times, but until today had always been too small to sleep outside with her. It was early evening when Olympia noticed that her little brother was getting sleepy. "Are you ready for bed?" she asked Hosea. He replied by nodding his head as he rubbed his tired eyes. "Come on then," she said, taking his hand. "Let's go." Cuddled up in their sleeping bags, surrounded by teddy bears, toys, and snacks, the pair of them listened to the sounds outside of the tent as the sky above darkened and the stars came out. Before long, they were both asleep. Although Olympia loved to sleep in her tent, she also liked to wake up in it. She would wake up at dawn just as the sun began to rise and lay there listening to the dawn chorus as all the birds sang to one another to welcome in the new day. Beside her, Hosea was still fast asleep, so she just lay on her back and enjoyed the birds singing. "Oh, fiddlesticks," said a voice. "Who was that?" wondered Olympia. It sounded like it had come from the garden. She listened carefully. Somebody was out there, by the bushes. She could hear the leaves rustling. As quietly as possible, so not to waken Hosea, she sat up and slowly unzipped the tent. The rustling continued as she peeked out. There was a bear in the garden. Now, if you or I were out in a tent and found a bear right outside, we'd probably be very worried. We might even be frightened. But Olympia wasn't. Olympia just grinned. This was because this particular bear was wearing a pink leotard and a frilly pink tutu. Somehow, the bear had got the tutu snagged on the bush and was struggling to untangle it with its big paws. "I can help," said Olympia, hopping out of the tent. Oh, my goodness," said the bear. "Where did you come from?" "I was camping," replied Olympia as she unhooked the tutu, "with my little brother." The bear, now free of the bush, brushed off some leaves that had stuck to her and did a little spin on the grass. "Ah, that's better. I can dance again." "Are you a ballerina?" asked Olympia. The bear slumped her shoulders and looked glum. "Well, not really, but I'd like to be." "But what's stopping you?" asked Olympia. "I don't know what to do," said the bear sadly. "It's hard to join a ballet class when you're a bear." Olympia took the bear's big paw in her small hands. "I'll help you," she said. "I know a little bit. I'll be happy to show you." "Really?" said the bear. "You do that? For me? Oh, that's so very kind of you." "I'll show you how to bend first. This is called plie," explained Olympia as she pointed her feet in opposite directions, extended her arms out, and bent her knees. The bear watched her carefully before copying. "That's amazing," said Olympia. "Remember to keep your feet flat on the ground." Then they moved on to a movement Olympia called releve. She stood with her feet together and knees straight, with her arms raised in graceful curves above her head. She then lifted her heels so she was on the balls of her feet. The bear watched this a few times before having a go herself. "Oh, I like this one," said the bear. Next, Olympia showed the bear how to jump. This was called saute. It involved starting in the plie position, then jumping off of both feet at the same time, straightening her legs before landing back in plie. "Ooh, that looks trickier," said the bear. "You can do it," encouraged Olympia. "Go on, have a try." So the bear did. The first attempt sent the bear tumbling onto her behind, and she picked herself up and tried again. "That's it," said Olympia, clapping her hands. "You've got it." Now that the bear was feeling more confident, the pair of them made up a dance in the garden, gliding across the grass and around the tent in leaps and spins. They were having such a wonderful time that they didn't even notice the real time. In fact, it was only when Olympia caught the sound of gentle clapping that she remembered that she was still in her PJs and hadn't had any breakfast yet. The clapping was coming from the entrance to the tent. There was Hosea, sitting and enjoying the show. But the clapping didn't stop there. Olympia's mummy and daddy joined in the clapping from where they'd been watching at the back door. Then some of the neighbors joined in, and the mailman, and the paper boy, and a lady passing who was walking her dog. Everyone was incredibly impressed by Olympia and the ballerina bear. News spread of the dancing duo, and later that day, a television crew arrived and asked them to repeat their routine. The bear was a little shy at first, but Olympia said it would be okay, and they should just have fun and enjoy it. And so they did. Even more people stopped to watch it. This time, when they finished, it wasn't just clapping they received, but cheers too. The film of them dancing together ended up on YouTube, and soon the world was watching them dance. They were becoming quite famous. They even earned some money from it too. And you know what Olympia spent her money on? She bought a larger tent. After all, the bear was too big for this old one. The end.
So that you don't miss a single episode, just click that subscribe button.